subtle feedback that's going on. It's about to rip. Turn it down.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi. I just want to begin by introducing you to what this is. Ooh. We good? Yeah, okay, cool, I'll use this. So you are at the AfriClassical Series. And let me tell you what that is. Through the AfriClassical Futures Series, Elastic Arts seeks to foreground the underrecognized achievements and challenges of African American composers and performers working in classical music. Series events feature works and performances by African American composers and performers. Then the artists are invited to share their perspectives and experiences from working in a markedly Eurocentric field, their take on relationships between music of the African diaspora and Western art music, as well as their ambitions for the future of their work. This series is curated by Julian Davis. Yes, whip it up. Yes, thank you very much. Adam Zanolini, yes, Dr. Adam Zanolini, and Olula Negre. And I am Sharon. I am a resident here, and I love this place. And I don't look like I am, but I am Taipei, and I am really a stickler for time, and it is Wednesday night, and I believe in you guys getting home, getting a snack, watching a brief part of an episode of something you really like, and then going to bed. So, let us get started. Okay. How's your sound? Now blessed assurance is stuck in my head. This is my story.
16.
You got it. This is my song.
We can share.
Praising my Savior. Okay.
Sure.
I love that song. That's one of my favorite tunes. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So, Shannon, you call yourself a lot of things. You call yourself a sound therapist, an audio pharmacologist, trademarked. I'm leading you to the creation of immersive, yes, hallelujah, healing arts experiences. You have projects that immerse people into utilizing ancient and future sciences, yes, in sound design to entrain listeners with a healthy mind, body, and spirit frequencies. Yes. You seek to demarcate the differences between pre- and post-colonial history, science fiction, identity, spirituality, yes. Julian, you call yourself...
1, 2.
Yes, very good. You call yourself an artist theologian. You've been, oh, cool, great. You've been a prolific jazz pianist and band leader and a musical director for many, many years. And you're a theologian with a philosophy degree and a Master of Divinity with that seminarian life of yours. So both of you are dealing, from what I see, with time. So this talk is going to center on time. Let's go back to 2019, which from my research is a very important year for both of you. You graduated from seminary that year. And you were a resident in this very place.
Yeah.
So, you see what I did there? Okay, so I want to talk about, describe, let's see, how are we in time? Okay, we're good. Describe two things. Describe what you discovered most about your process in spirituality in 2019, and how has your music changed since seminary and residency? You first, Julian. Yes.
So, the first thing that popped into my mind was the picture at my graduation of not only my family there, but also my band, the Juju Exchange came. And we had a show in Atlanta the next day after graduation, but they decided to come early to celebrate. And that, I think, came to mind because that symbolized what it meant for me to really fuse my love of faith with my love of music.
Okay, I have, I'm going to get to you soon, but I'm going to interrupt that with a question I had later on. Has the secular, so I am, as you could probably tell from me singing Blessed Assurance, I played church music for 33 years. I left the church when I was 40 years old. I'm 41. That was last year. I just left the church. And so I could never, and I'm also gay, I could never really make all of that fit together. But you, it seems seamless for you, the secular and spiritual. How do you do that?
That's a great question. I
would like to know. Asking for a friend.
Amen. Well, it's funny, I did not even know you were going to ask that, but on yesterday, I posted getting ready for the show, and I said that for me, there's no such thing as a secular. God is just more or less hidden. And
bitch.
Yeah.
Say that again. What you say again?
For me, there's no such thing as a secular. God is just more or less hidden. And
is this being recorded? Because I need to know. Okay, great.
And so part of my ministry, I love the church. A lot of people from my church are here. It's amazing. And Jesus is just so central. But what I also see Jesus doing is spending most of his time outside of religious establishments. And so my hope is, even just in this conversation, yes, Sharon.
Yeah.
That
look at you're such a pastor. Look at her. Yes, Sharon. Yes. I love it.
And if you can hear it in my sound, praise God. If you can hear it in my words, praise God. But that's ultimately what this is all about. There's no such place as God being forsaken. God is just more or less hidden.
Damn. I'm gonna come back to you, Shannon. Shannon, you occupy a very special place for me because I am in your footsteps. You were a resident in 2019. I'm a resident in 2023. So so answer those same questions if please, because I know you have a extensive spiritual practice, and I want to know how that's changed since that year for you. Or has it?
So the question is,
describe what you discovered most about your process in spirituality in 2019, and how have you changed the most since that residency?
Okay, so in 2019, I was in between hosting immersive experiences and working with clients in California, and back here doing, I had a residency where I was doing something once a month called the, is way out there. So I had a group called the Sonic Geometry Experience. So what we would do is we had these machines that showed you how sound affect matter. I'll project it on a thing, and then we said, we're gonna play your body like an instrument, and we're gonna put these frequencies that's gonna heal your organs into it, and they can see it. So I had sound tables here. Ask Jonathan and Adam came, they can attest to this. It was serious.
Stacy was there too.
This is a collaborative. Yes, I read about her through the Avatar thing you guys did. Okay, very good.
Oh, that's good. I was going to get to that.
I do research.
So, during that time, I wanted to push my spiritual practice into kind of normal spaces. So when they gave me the residency, I was like, okay, I'm gonna call this the healing arts movement.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna bring it in all these directions. So this room was filled with like healing instruments, chimes, tunes, organs.
It looked.
It was intense. We would blacken out the windows. It was super dark, and people didn't watch the show. They would lay down. Some would go to sleep and just the whole time. So they rejuvenated. And what I did is I took, because this was kind of a public health thing I was doing as well. So I took pre and post vitals from when you came in.
Yeah, you had a little machine in the back.
Oh, so you got the Jonathan wants to show you the footage.
No, I did research.
So we were taking pre and post vitals, so to prove that the frequencies that I'm playing and what we're doing is affecting your anatomy. So after COVID, things were shut down. So I saw a lot of things that were being distributed and binge watched or a lot of binge participation and some things that just wasn't good for people's minds. This is overkill.
Lord.
Right.
So I created this series called Afri-Futurinity Quantum Cosmic Futures. And it's an Afri-Sci-Fi, but I call it Afri-Sci-Facts. I really don't get into, I mean, cartoons and stuff are cool, but I'm like, there's bigger issues, so I want to bring consciousness to people in a subliminal way.
Oh.
So
okay.
I brought on Stacey Gibson, who's the voice at the beginning, who was telling my Sonic Air Improv. So, and I wrote 2 seasons of that, and all of these seasons had different medicinal frequencies. We had talkbacks at the end of the show. I invited people from all over who were into the healing and things like that. So how that transitioned, it was a physical thing, and it took all my practice to creating and inventing things online. I had this immersive, I forgot the name of it, I was like high def, immersive, audio pharmacology, whatever. People sit in their house and I have all this stuff zooming in on their video screen with these real-time analyzed graphics and stuff. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
There's so much in this one I do not know. Okay, now what I also notice about the 2 of you is that well, there's a lot of things that are similar between the 2 of you, but Julian, you have an ongoing project called Notes of Rest, a practice of contemplation and creativity that moves us towards the rest we were created to receive. Shannon, I've seen that footage of, I mean, I was just like, can I get in there? Like, bitches was on the ground, like, just, they were out, and like, you could just tell through the video that people were being healed. And so, but, Shannon, you've been working since 1986. Your art, science, therapies, and music span over 3 decades, 6 continents, 6, y'all, and numerous and cultural, spiritual traditions. Julian, everyone just do yourself a favor and just Google these people, because it's maddening. Julian, your collaborator list includes Chance the Rapper, Jennifer Hudson, Vic Mensa, Nico Segal, Taking the Bangas, Jamila Woods, Andrew Bird, and let's not forget you're a Yale graduate. So listen, both of you guys have been hustling, and for both of you who talk about balance and rest, you sure hustle a lot. So I want to know what 2 things. What music makes you relax? You asked this on your Substack. And what else do you do to relax? Y'all cook, y'all play basketball, Mario Kart, what else y'all do? So yes, tell us, you go first this time. Tell us what music really brings you to rest, and then what else do you do?
So I remember when I started getting into, she hasn't mentioned, but my background is in IT and music, so, and architecture. So how I toured the world in the beginning was as an international DJ. I still DJ. So in college, I remember having some friends who was like, you should take this jazz class. And I didn't like jazz when my parents were playing. I was into like hip hop and then definitely house music.
Okay.
So I was like, man, my uncle was a steppers and jazz DJ. So anyway, my friends were like, come check this jazz class out. And what inspired me was I was doing a DJ set and I had live musicians playing with me. And that's when talent showed people can sing and play instruments. It wasn't no beat machines, and people were actually playing drums. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna take the class. And from that class, I began to learn about, song structures, the chords, and diminishing, and all of this stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is heavy. And it was medicinal at the time. So I said, oh, now I see why, because I was like, that's old folks music at the time. I'm not trying to slow down. But then I was like, this is very medicinal. So it started off with jazz, and then it went into kind of world music, because the frequencies and the moods that they tune some of these world music things is heavy.
Yes.
And it's very sacred in geometry.
Yeah.
And then that went into meditation music. My first CD was Sharon something. She's a big meditation, and it was Stress-Free for Life. And I would play it, and it was kind of classical music. Backing up, I know I'm getting long-winded, but I'm trying to give you like a history.
Yes, get into it.
People didn't realize this. So to practice my DJ chops in college on Sundays, I would practice blending jazz. Because, you know, house music is
yes.
So I was practicing blending jazz. That's what I got my chops off of. And then, to sleep in college, and I didn't know anything about it, I would listen to this classical music station. So later on, I found out that classical music and some forms of jazz have a lot of theta waves. So it causes the brain to slow down and rest. Wow. So those are the things that, you know, I really do. And then I make my own stuff. And then I do a lot of forest bathing. I go out in the forest. I just did an event last week at Schubert Woods, where it was sold out, where I introduced this new thing, because my thing is about if humans are gonna coexist, we can't be doing like, and no offense, I'm just giving you an example. I am just presenting an alternative. There's nothing about the other thing. I'm the alternative, so. I'm like, hey, I love the big sound systems, but what I noticed when I'm traveling in other countries and I'm in the jungle, that pure nature, that's what I listen to. When you used to come to my house, my neighbors or call me on the phone, it's birds and stuff in the background. People gotta say, hey, can you turn the birds down? and Jonathan attests to it and says, like, can you turn the birds? Where are you, in a bird sanctuary? I was like,
no, I'm in my house.
I was like, I'm in my house, I recorded things, and I was in blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, out in there. So that's kind of what I listen to majority of the time, not pop music. I don't listen to pop music much. And I have a extensive record, a vinyl, I have everything, reel-to-reel, CD. So I got enough music I can play. I don't have to play the same song for a long period of time. That's how much music.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. You blow my mind. Thank you. Your turn?
Man, but again, likewise. Wow. The synergies here, the consonances are deep. So I listen to a lot of records I grew up on that make me feel fondly. One, for instance, yesterday I was listening to Hank Mobley, beautiful saxophonist, Soul Station. I love Wynton Kelly. He's a cat I learned a lot from, jazz cat. So I listen to a lot of old jazz records that I grew up on, that I remember I would listen to in the car with Nico and Zai. And all that really brings me rest, just because that sounded so deep and it was so urgent and remains so. And just the way they sit in the pocket. I also do centering prayer, which is a kind of meditation. And I listen to silence a lot. I go on silent retreats.
Okay.
Once a quarter. I really didn't do this every month. And if you've never gone on one, I encourage it. Just, even my wife knows, just, I don't talk for, 10, 12 hours of that day. And a lot comes in the midst of just going so silent. I turn my phone off on Sundays. And so there are various ways that I'm practicing actually listening to silence. And you can hear that in my music, that I'm trying to play the whole dynamic right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of space. Yeah, in both of your music.
And also, and you hear that then in nature. The birds chirp on repeat, and then they pause, then they'll come back. Yeah, then they'll pause. So there are all these rhythms and dynamics also out there that I'm listening to.
What else y'all do?
Oh yeah, and then
you're not only a musician, you're not only a theologian, you're not only a pharmacologist.
My favorite pastime is wandering conversations with friends.
Oh,
that's all I need.
Do you like to do it like while during walking or sitting, or does it matter?
At a wooden table is all I need.
Oh yes,
or walking.
Yes.
That's all I need.
Yeah. What about you? What do you do?
You're like,
I'm an architect.
No. What's interesting is, my lifestyle is like I've studied and initiated in the bush and did these things. So, and I'm often alone doing meditation and things like that. But I'm creating things, so I have to filter though when I'm talking to people, because I'll start going blah 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 and all this physics and stuff, and people go, whoa. So that's what you're getting. I have to filter. Because you're like, what do you do? Is like, oh, I should tell her about this new science. And it's like, oh, no, let me bring it back. So most of my inspiration or influences or motivation or even deep reflection or self-realization comes in the silence. Mm-hmm. It's harder to get that. So what I do in the interim of me traveling to somewhere, I kind of create an outer space place. So if you're like, I'm just playing with frequencies or doing things and playing with like brain entrainment or body frequencies, so it takes me into these other spaces because what I have is synesthesia.
You do?
So
yes.
That's why for me playing, I don't know if you all knew what I was playing instruments, but I'm actually playing ultrasound. So for me to play ultrasound, I have to see the different notes on the thing, and I always saw music that way. I didn't know what I was doing. Like even when you're playing, people, I see it, I'm just like, because I can see. I don't just hear music. I see these colors and things happening. So I often try to spend time exploring that. So
man, you two are wild. Okay, I have one more question, and I want you. I cannot emphasize enough. Put these names in your phone, or just look at the event. Look at these names. Check out their work. They have work that could just rabbit hole you. I've been studying these people's work for a month. It's so great. But one last question. Okay. Ooh, 2 quick ones. Okay. Shit. Okay, Julian, you have a band called the Juju Exchange. You made it with your childhood friends. Tell me what kind of 10-year-old you were.
Okay, here we are.
What kind of child were you?
That's really a question for my parents. But I was, they can fact check this. But I was inquisitive as a 10-year-old. I was starting to get into my ability to reason. I remember asking my mom why all the time, which would, I think, prefigure my time studying philosophy in undergrad. I was playing a lot of music, always really enjoying it. And
piano,
also,
or did you do anything else?
Piano. I operated other instruments, but the only instrument I've ever really played is piano.
Wow.
And so I'm playing a lot, and then I'm also playing a lot of basketball, and just really inquiring of God, and I guess really consistent with where I am now. I love that basketball. Yeah. And I love piano. Although I was playing only classical and really in church at the time, listening to jazz a little, especially around Christmas time with Charlie Brown. But the records were starting to flow in little by little. But I came to high school.
Okay, your turn. What kind of 10-year-old were you?
10 years old. I know. So, what grade is that?
5th. 5, 6, 4, 5?
Oh, yeah. 5th. Okay. So you know, I used to sit. Let's go a little bit back and then show so you can see how that evolution came. So when I was a child, I would sit in a corner with like erector sets or Legos and design cities, right? And the sun would be up and it goes down, and I'm still doing it, and I kind of ruin my eyes that way. So my parents would have to come in the room and turn on the lights, like, why are you sitting in here? Just because I wouldn't move. So when I got to 5th grade, I was inspired by, you know, people were like, you're just too nerdy, or, you know, it was just different, like very out there. So when I got to 5th grade, I was inspired by like punk music, rock music. So I was just like, I'm gonna go way out. So I'll give you a story. And I don't know what I was thinking, because I was like, that's the most silliest thing that I did. But anyway, so my parents bought us our first instruments.
Okay.
But mind you, before then, all we were doing is watching like, I think like MTV, VH1, that was when they first hit. We were watching punk rock videos where they're slamming the guitar, you know what I'm talking about? Mosh pits, that stuff I was in. I was like, yeah! I used to dress super crazy.
Yeah.
So they bought us our first instruments. They went to the store. Me and my brother was like, yeah, no. And I took the guitar, I was like, And you know what I did with the guitar and the drum kit that we had? It was broken to pieces, and we thought we can hide it behind the toilet. I'm sorry. Behind the toilet in the bathroom. So my parents come
Bro,
home.
what?
They're like,
It's like a fret. We're
like, what the?
Don't cry.
What, y'all didn't like the instruments? And he's like, yeah, but all we saw was
You're like,
rock
we didn't like
bands
them,
doing
yeah!
that thing. So at that time, I was exploring things away from the kind of the nerdy side at that time. Another thing, like expression. I was into my like artistic expression. And it was way out. Like, because you know, at that age I had a lot of energy. So it was just like I was intense.
Damn.
So I hope that answers.
Yeah, it's
the
great.
question. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. We went back to 2019. We came back to now. We went to when you were 10. Now, not to bring the mood down, but just, I think it's important to acknowledge this is AfriClassical Series. And so we are talking about African American people, and we are talking about 2 African American men. And I think about this a lot, how just the gift of having African American men with us. Because sometimes I think, you know, I don't think a single day goes by that I don't think of our brother George, or I don't think of my sister Brianna. And I think of so many black men who should be here and are not. And I'm really, really happy to have experienced your life, breath, art today. What would you right now, tell your 14-year-old self, just a boy, coming into black manhood? What would you tell your 14-year-old self today?
Hold your sorrow together with your joy and see the community unfold.
I'm really, really glad you're a theologian. Your turn, please.
I needed some space effects so I can kind of match it.
Okay.
Go get my box. What would I tell my 14-year-old self? You know, there was a point where I was so into what I wanted to do, but the regular community, black community, wasn't accepting of a super.
We've come a long way, us.
I say nerdy, but just somebody who has curiosity, right?
Yeah.
So what I would tell my 14-year-old self, because I stagnated my whole high school years. I had to hide that I was super smart. So I got perfect attendance, but I was dressing crazy. But people thought, no, dude, you have to be stupid. And then they found out about my GPA and everything. So I would tell my 14-year-old self is to go far in and way out. Discover. And I'm not talking about just to discover the self. Because I'm into self-realization. And I think that stagnated. Right. Because I had to live and, you know, filter and do all those things. So
I'm impressed that any of us made it out of middle school. Thank you so much for being here with us. And please come to alumni.org. If you want to change your life forever for the better, come here regularly and often. And thank you so much to our curators. You need this mic?
Sure, I'll take it.
Yeah.